Karen barreled through the crowded downtown street, heels clicking against the pavement. She was already 15 minutes late for her meeting, and her boss would not be pleased. As she rounded the corner, the delicious aroma of sizzling meat and spices wafted through the air, making her mouth water. Without warning, a small cart selling hot street food materialized in front of her. The vendor, a kind-looking older man, was carefully arranging skewers of fragrant chicken and vegetables on the grill. "Excuse me," Karen snapped, glaring down at the vendor. "Do you have any idea how inconsiderate it is to block the sidewalk like this? I'm in a hurry." The vendor looked up, startled. "Oh, I'm so sorry, ma'am," he said in a gentle voice. "I'll try to move out of your way." "That's not good enough," Karen fumed. "You're impeding pedestrian traffic. This is a hazard, and you should know better than to set up shop in the middle of a busy walkway." A small crowd began to gather, eyeing the confrontation with a mix of concern and amusement. The vendor stammered, clearly flustered by Karen's aggressive tirade. I didn't mean to cause any trouble," he said, his hands trembling slightly. "I'm just trying to make an honest living. Please, let me get out of your way." "That's not the point," Karen seethed. "You're disrupting the flow of this entire street. Have some consideration for others, will you?" Without waiting for a response, she shoved past the cart, nearly knocking over a stack of paper plates. The vendor watched helplessly as she stormed off, muttering under her breath. As Karen briskly made her way to the office, she felt a twinge of guilt. Perhaps she had been a bit too harsh on the poor man. After all, he was just trying to earn a living. But her irritation at being late had gotten the better of her. She pushed the thought aside, deciding the vendor should have been more mindful of his placement. When Karen arrived at the meeting, her boss eyed her disapprovingly. "Nice of you to join us, Karen," he said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "I trust there was a good reason for your tardiness." Karen swallowed hard, reluctantly launching into an explanation. As she spoke, she couldn't help but feel ashamed of her behavior towards the street vendor. Maybe she was the one who needed to have more consideration for others. The rest of Karen's workday dragged on. She found it difficult to focus, the guilt over her earlier outburst weighing heavily on her mind. Somewhere deep down, she knew she had overreacted, but her pride made it hard to admit. As the clock ticked closer to quitting time, Karen's phone buzzed with a message from her boss. "Can you please stay late and help coordinate the catering for the office party next week? I need to leave early for a family emergency." Karen groaned inwardly. The last thing she wanted to do was stay late at the office. But she knew better than to refuse a direct request from her boss. With a resigned sigh, she replied that she would be happy to handle the catering arrangements. As Karen scrolled through the list of approved vendors, one name caught her eye: Leo's Authentic Street Cuisine. The memory of the vendor she had yelled at earlier that day suddenly flooded back, making her stomach twist in knots. "There's no way," she muttered to herself. "What are the odds?" Against her better judgment, Karen decided to call the number listed for Leo's Street Cuisine. After a few rings, a familiar voice answered. "Hello, this is Lao. How can I help you?" Karen swallowed hard, her heart pounding in her chest. Hi, this is Karen from Jameson and Associates. I'm calling about catering for our office party next week." There was a brief pause on the other end of the line. Yes, of course," Lau replied. "I'll be happy to provide a menu and pricing. When would you like me to drop by the office?" Karen felt a wave of guilt wash over her. "Actually, I wanted to apologize for my behavior earlier today," she stammered. "I was rude and inconsiderate, and I'm truly sorry for the way I spoke to you." Leo's voice softened. "No need to apologize, my dear. I understand you were in a hurry. I'm just glad we can work together for your event." Karen blinked back tears, overwhelmed by the vendor's gracious response. "Thank you. I really appreciate your understanding. I'll be in touch about the catering details." As she hung up the phone, Karen couldn't help but feel a newfound respect for Lau. Despite her appalling behavior, he had chosen to rise above it and extend an olive branch. She made a mental note to treat him and his team with the utmost kindness and respect during the upcoming event. Perhaps this encounter would serve as a lesson in humility for Karen. She resolved to be more mindful of how her actions affected those around her, even in the midst of her own hectic schedule. Over the next week, Karen found herself constantly thinking about her encounter with Lau and his street food cart. She had been so consumed by her own agenda that she had completely disregarded the humanity of the person in front of her. Now, the guilt weighed heavily on her conscience. As the day of the office party approached, Karen made a concerted effort to connect with Lau and his team. She personally visited their food cart, ordering a sampling of their most popular dishes. To her delight, the flavors were bold, complex, and absolutely delicious. "Lau, I have to say, your food is incredible," Karen said, taking another bite of the fragrant chicken skewer. "I can't wait for the rest of the office to try it." Lau beamed with pride. "I'm so glad you're enjoying it, Karen. My team and I have been working hard to perfect our recipes. We're honored to be catering your event." Karen nodded, her expression suddenly somber. "And I'm honored that you agreed to work with us, especially after the way I treated you last week. I was completely out of line, and I can't tell you how sorry I am." Lau reached out and gently patted Karen's hand. "Water under the bridge, my dear. I could see you were in a hurry, and I know how stressful it can be to balance work and life. There's no need to apologize." Karen felt a lump form in her throat. "But I do need to apologize. My behavior was inexcusable, and I want you to know that I'm going to make sure the entire office treats you and your team with the utmost respect and appreciation." Lau smiled warmly. "I appreciate that, Karen. And don't you worry, I'm sure we'll have a wonderful time at the party." As Karen headed back to the office, she felt a sense of renewed determination. She was going to make sure this event was a rousing success, not just for the sake of her job, but to prove to Lau and his team that she truly valued their contribution. That evening, Karen spent hours meticulously planning the layout of the party, coordinating with Lau on the menu, and ensuring that every detail was attended to. She even recruited a few of her colleagues to help set up and welcome the catering staff with open arms. When the big day arrived, Karen couldn't help but feel a flutter of nervous excitement. This was her chance to make amends and show Lau that she was a changed woman. As the guests began to arrive, she took a deep breath and prepared to greet them with a genuine smile. As the office party kicked into full swing, Karen made it her mission to ensure that Lau and his team were treated with the utmost respect and appreciation. She personally greeted each member of the catering staff, thanking them for their hard work and dedication. "The food smells absolutely incredible," Karen said, beaming at Lau. "I can't wait for everyone to try it." Lau's eyes crinkled with a warm smile. "I'm so glad you're pleased, Karen. My team and I put our hearts into every dish." Karen nodded, her expression suddenly serious. "And I want you to know that I'm deeply sorry for the way I treated you last week. It was completely unacceptable, and I hope you can forgive me." Lau placed a gentle hand on Karen's arm. "My dear, there's no need to apologize. I understand the pressures of your job, and I'm just happy we can work together today." Karen felt a surge of gratitude towards the kind-hearted vendor. "Thank you, Lau. That means more to me than you know." As the guests began to filter in, Karen made sure to introduce Lau and his team to everyone, highlighting their incredible culinary skills and the authenticity of their cuisine. She watched with a sense of pride as her colleagues eagerly sampled the various dishes, their faces lighting up with delight. "Karen, this is hands down the best catered event we've ever had," exclaimed her boss, his mouth full of tender beef skewers. "Where on earth did you find these guys?" Karen couldn't help but smile. "I actually ran into Lau and his team on the street a little while ago. I'm so glad we were able to work with them for this event." Her boss nodded emphatically. Well, you've really outdone yourself. This is exactly the kind of thing that's going to get you that promotion you've been after. Karen felt a surge of pride, but also a twinge of guilt. She knew that her earlier behavior towards Lau had been completely unacceptable, and she vowed to make it up to him in any way she could. As the party wore on, Karen made a point to check in with Lau and his team, offering them refreshments and making sure they had everything they needed. She was determined to show them the respect and appreciation they deserved. Lau, for his part, seemed genuinely touched by Karen's efforts. You know, Karen, I'm so glad we were able to put this behind us, he said, his eyes shining with sincerity. I can see that you've really grown from this experience. Karen felt a lump form in her throat. Thank you, Lau. I've learned a valuable lesson of the importance of empathy and kindness. I promised I'll never take that for granted again. As the guests raved about the incredible food and the seamless catering experience, Karen couldn't help but feel a sense of pride and accomplishment. She had turned a negative situation into a positive one, and in the process, she had gained a newfound respect for the hardworking people who made her life a little bit easier. In the days following the successful office party, Karen found herself unable to shake the memory of her encounter with Lau and his street food cart. Try as she might, the guilt continued to linger, a constant reminder of her own selfish behavior. One evening, as Karen was walking home from work, she found herself drawn back to the same corner where she had first encountered Lau. There, amid the bustling foot traffic, his familiar cart stood, its aromatic flavors wafting through the air. Without hesitation, Karen approached the cart, determined to make amends. Lau looked up, his face breaking into a warm smile. Karen, what pleasant surprise. To what do I owe the honor? Karen took a deep breath, steeling herself for the difficult conversation to come. Lau, I've been thinking a lot about our encounter last week. I can't stop feeling guilty about the way I treated you. Lau's expression softened, and he reached out to place a gentle hand on Karen's arm. My dear, I told you, there's no need to apologize. I understand how stressful life can be. But that's just it, Karen interrupted, her voice trembling slightly. That's no excuse for the way I behaved. I was rude, inconsiderate, and completely disregarded your humanity. You were just trying to earn an honest living, and I treated you with nothing but contempt. Lau listened intently, his eyes filled with empathy. Karen, I appreciate your honesty, but I want you to know that I harbor no ill will towards you. We all have our moments of frustration and impatience. Karen shook her head, blinking back tears. That doesn't make it right, Lau. I've been thinking about this a lot, and I realize that I've been taking so much for granted. People like you, working hard every day to make a living, and I just brushed you aside without a second thought. Lau reached into the cart, retrieving a steaming skewer of chicken and vegetables. Here, my dear, he said, holding it out to Karen. Why don't you try this? I think it might help ease your mind. Karen accepted the offering, her fingers trembling slightly. As she took a bite, the complex flavors exploded on her tongue, and she couldn't help but let out a contented sigh. Lau, this is incredible, she murmured, savoring each morsel. You and your team have truly created something special. Lau beamed with pride. I'm so glad you're enjoying it, and I want you to know that I appreciate your sincerity. It's not every day that someone takes the time to reflect on their actions and make amends. Karen felt a weight lift from her shoulders. Thank you, Lau. That means more to me than you know. I want you to know that I'm going to make a concerted effort to be more mindful, not just in my interactions with you, but with everyone I encounter. Lau nodded, his eyes shining with warmth. I have no doubt you will, Karen, and I'm proud of you for taking this step. It's not easy, but it's the mark of a truly compassionate person. As Karen bid Lau farewell and continued on her way, she couldn't help but feel a renewed sense of purpose. This experience had taught her a valuable lesson about the power of empathy and the importance of treating everyone with kindness and respect. In the weeks following her encounter with Lau, Karen found herself making a conscious effort to be more mindful and empathetic in her daily life. She made it a point to greet the barista at her local coffee shop with a warm smile, to hold the door open for the elderly woman struggling with her groceries, and to listen attentively to her colleagues' concerns rather than dismissing them. As Karen's newfound sense of compassion began to permeate every aspect of her life, she couldn't help but notice a remarkable shift in her own well-being. The constant stress and anxiety that had once plagued her seemed to dissipate, replaced by a sense of inner peace and contentment. One day, as Karen was leaving the office, she spotted Leo's cart parked in its usual spot. Without hesitation, she approached him, a genuine smile spreading across her face. "Leo, it's so good to see you again," she said, her voice brimming with enthusiasm. "How have you been?" Leo looked up, his face lighting up with recognition. "Karen, my dear, it's a pleasure to see you as well. I must say, you're looking radiant today." Karen felt a flush of warmth creep up her cheeks. "Thank you, Leo. And please, let me know if there's anything I can do to help support your business. I'd be more than happy to spread the word about your incredible food." Lau chuckled, his eyes crinkling with amusement. "Well, now that you mention it, I could certainly use a few more customers. Business has been a bit slow this week." Without a moment's hesitation, Karen began flagging down passersby, extolling the virtues of Lau's cuisine. To her delight, the crowd quickly began to gather, eagerly sampling the fragrant dishes. As the afternoon wore on, Karen found herself thoroughly enjoying the opportunity to connect with Lau and his team. She listened intently as they shared stories of their culinary journey, marveling at the passion and dedication that went into every bite. "You know, Lau," Karen said, her voice tinged with wonder, "I can't help but feel like our initial encounter was a blessing in disguise. It's opened my eyes to a whole new world, and I'm grateful for the chance to learn from you and your team." Lau reached out and gently squeezed Karen's hand. "My dear, I believe that everything happens for a reason. Sometimes it takes a bit of adversity to help us see the world in a new light." Karen nodded, a wistful smile playing on her lips. "You're absolutely right, and I'm determined to continue down this path of empathy and understanding. It's not always easy, but I can already feel the positive impact it's having on my life." As the sun began to dip below the horizon, Karen reluctantly bid Lau farewell, promising to return the following week. As she made her way home, she couldn't help but feel a sense of renewed purpose and enthusiasm for the future. The following week, Karen found herself eagerly awaiting the arrival of Lau and his catering team. She had spent the past few days meticulously planning the office's holiday party, determined to ensure that every aspect of the event was executed flawlessly. As the caterers began to set up, Karen made a beeline for Lau, a warm smile spreading across her face. "Lau, it's so wonderful to see you again," she said, her voice filled with genuine enthusiasm. "Thank you and your team for being here today. I can't wait for everyone to try your incredible food." Lau returned the smile, his eyes twinkling with delight. "The pleasure is all ours, my dear. We're honored to be a part of your celebration." Karen glanced around the bustling office, taking in the festive decorations and the excited chatter of her colleagues. "You know, Lau, I have to say, this party feels a bit different this year. There's just a sense of warmth and community that I don't recall from previous events." Lau nodded knowingly. "I suspect that has something to do with the newfound appreciation you've developed for the people around you. When we treat others with kindness and respect, it has a way of spreading like wildfire." Karen felt a flush of pride. "You're absolutely right, and I have you to thank for that, Lau. If it weren't for our chance encounter, I might still be trapped in my own selfish bubble, oblivious to the world around me." Lau reached out and placed a gentle hand on Karen's arm. "My dear, you give me too much credit. The change you've undergone is a testament to your own courage and strength of character. I'm merely honored to have played a small role in your journey. Karen felt a lump form in her throat, overwhelmed by the genuine sincerity in Lao's words. Thank you, Lao. That means more to me than you know. As the party got underway, Karen made a concerted effort to engage with her colleagues on a deeper level. She listened intently to their stories, asked thoughtful questions, and made a point to express her genuine appreciation for their hard work and dedication. To her delight, the office dynamic seemed to shift palpably. Gone were the days of hushed whispers and passive-aggressive jabs. In their place, an atmosphere of camaraderie and mutual respect began to take root. As the evening drew to a close, Karen found herself surrounded by a group of her colleagues, all eagerly sharing their favorite dishes from Lao's menu. Karen, you've really outdone yourself this year, one of them remarked, his mouth full of fragrant curry. This is the best holiday party I can remember. Karen beamed with pride, her gaze drifting towards Lao, who was engaged in a lively conversation with the rest of the catering team. Well, I couldn't have done it without the incredible work of our caterers. They truly are the stars of the show. As the last of the guests departed, Karen approached Lao, her eyes shining with gratitude. Lao, I can't thank you enough for everything you and your team have done today. This event was a resounding success, and I owe it all to you. Lao smiled warmly, a twinkle of mischief in his eyes. My dear, I believe the credit belongs to you. After all, you're the one who's been transformed, inside and out. Karen felt a surge of emotion, realizing just how profoundly her life had changed in the span of a few short weeks. As she bid Lao farewell, she knew that this was just the beginning of a beautiful friendship, one that would continue to inspire and challenge her in the days and years to come. Over the next several months, Karen's newfound sense of empathy and compassion continued to blossom, transforming not only her professional life, but her personal relationships as well. She made a concerted effort to stay in touch with Lao, visiting his food cart on a regular basis and even helping to promote his business through her extensive network. The two had developed a genuine friendship, built on a foundation of mutual respect and understanding. One day, as Karen was strolling through the downtown area, she happened upon a small group gathered around Lao's cart. To her surprise, they were engaged in a heated argument, with one man in particular hurling insults at the kind-hearted vendor. Without hesitation, Karen strode over to the scene, her expression steely. "Excuse me, sir," she said, her voice firm and commanding. "I believe you're causing a disturbance. Perhaps we could resolve this matter in a more civil manner." The man whirled around, his face twisted in a scowl. "Mind your own business, lady. This doesn't concern you." Karen refused to back down, her gaze unwavering. "On the contrary, this concerns all of us who value kindness, compassion, and the simple pleasures of life, like the incredible food Lao provides. Now, I suggest you take a step back and reconsider your actions." The man's eyes widened, as if only now realizing the spectacle he was causing. Sensing he was outnumbered, he muttered a begrudging apology and skulked away, leaving the crowd to applaud Karen's courageous intervention. Lao approached her, his eyes shining with gratitude. "Karen, my dear, I can't thank you enough for your bravery. You truly are a force to be reckoned with." Karen smiled, a newfound sense of pride swelling within her. "Lao, it's the least I could do. You've shown me the power of compassion, and I'll be damned if I let anyone diminish that." In the weeks that followed, Karen's reputation as a champion of kindness and understanding began to spread throughout the community. People would often seek her out, eager to learn from her example and find ways to make a positive impact in their own lives. One day, as Karen was leaving the office, her boss called her into his office, a broad smile on his face. "Karen, I've been meaning to talk to you. I've been so impressed by the way you've transformed, not just yourself, but the entire culture of this organization. Your commitment to empathy and respect is truly inspiring." Karen felt a blush creep up her cheeks. Thank you, sir. I've simply tried to lead by example and encourage everyone to see the humanity in one another. Her boss nodded approvingly. Well, your efforts have not gone unnoticed. In fact, I'd like to offer you a new position as our Director of Employee Engagement and Community Outreach. I believe your unique perspective and skills would be invaluable in this role. Karen's eyes widened in disbelief. I don't know what to say. This is an incredible opportunity, and I'm honored that you think I'm the right person for the job. Her boss chuckled. It's well-deserved, Karen. You've proven that compassion and empathy can have a transformative impact, both within the workplace and in the community at large. I have no doubt you'll excel in this role. As Karen left the office, a sense of exhilaration and purpose filled her. She knew that her journey of self-discovery was far from over, but she was ready to embrace the challenges that lay ahead. With Leo's guidance and the unwavering support of her colleagues, she was confident that she could continue to make a lasting difference in the lives of those around her.